皆さんこんにちは。ゴトンココのロエナです。どうぞよろしくお願いします。As they say, Christmas and New Year are definitely the most wonderful time of the year. Join me as we, together with our Nihongo class, hop into Santa's sleigh as we explore the culture of Philippines and Japan and welcome the new year with a blast. As we walk through entries topic Niju Ichi about annual events. The objectives of this video presentation are the following. We, Nihongo teachers, are going to Ichi. Familiarize topic Niju Ichi about annual events. Ni. Identify the essential parts of the different sessions. And Sang. Take note on experiences shared on how to deliver the topic. Ja, minasan, hajimimashou. Let's start with an overview of topic 21. In the lesson plan, taking note that the skills we desire to develop includes promoting learning and innovating skills and developing social and cross-cultural skills. So at the end of the 6 sessions, our students can say what one did in the past, can read a photo diary written in simple Japanese. Third, can say the first impression or give comments to a certain work using adjectives. And the fourth one is can sing the Japanese version of Jingle Bells. A glimpse of the sample conversation that we are going to teach in this topic is this. Misite? Iyo, design ga ii. Arigato. And now let's try to have a look at the outline of each session. From sessions 1 to 6, our students are going to learn the different annual events in Japan and find similarities to Philippines. Students identify the different form of verbs and the rules in making its past form. And they can also read a photo diary of a Nihongo Jin and learn about the culture of exchanging nengajo in Japan, and learn to sing Japanese version of Jingle Bell and take a Nihongo review quiz. Hi, so that's it for the overview. I believe we are all set, so let's dive into the first session. Topic Niju Ichi, Session Ichi desu. It's very important for us to be reminded of the objective of the session and the skills to be learned. So for session Ichi, we are going to promote learning and innovation skills. And this is for the Nihongo. They can describe activities during Christmas and New Year. And the vocabulary is kyokai. We need to prepare the following materials. We have quite a number. First one, set of Japan's annual events miniature picture cards. Second, set of Japan's annual events explanation cards. Third is teacher's reference on Japan's annual events. Now, a tip, I highly suggest reading its content a week or days before the topic, since for me personally, a lot of foreign information are in here. And it would be great if we can familiarize these informations before we start our discussion. And sige, we have here handout for our students, the Gambaro Risto. And number 5 is the rubric for J3 with fruits. So number 5 shows your J3 with the fruits. For the outline of session Ichi, it targets the cultural awareness and group discussion about the types of annual events in Japan. Nihongo, that's review about the different verbs related to year-end activities. And we have here the reflection where students reflect and write about what they've learned. And there's also an assignment for session Ichi. So let's jump into the lesson plan. For this session, we are going to begin the lesson by asking the students on their favorite annual event, which would lead us to our main topic about Christmas and New Year. and they are going to share about it. The teacher then presents the objective of the session, which is to know the important annual events in Japan in comparison to what we have here in the Philippines. After that, the teacher would distribute this, a copy of J3, and ask the students if they've noticed something new. What's new? Right, that's the fruit. In the fruit, they're going to write here the following. We have 2 guide questions and a field. For them to fill up the fruit of the J3, they need this one as their guide. The Gambaro Risto. There are 5 fields in the Gambaro Risto, which represents your goal, and on each field, there are items on it which describe specific actions for you to achieve your goals. Give your students ample time for this one. After that, the teacher divides the class into groups of 4 to 5 members each, like this, and distributes to each group a set of Japan's annual events, miniature picture cards, and a set of the names of annual event cards, like this one. For each of the group, they're going to do this task, ichi, to match the name of the event to the picture accordingly. So they have the miniature pictures and the names. So they are going to match that. Followed by, they are going to compare these events to any Philippine celebrations. You are going to give them around 10 minutes for this activity or more, depending on the situation of the class. Then let them present their work, taking turn in each annual event to maximize time. And we teachers are going to confirm their answers. And later, asking them to classify the events as live or commemorative events. Let's make sure to let our students take down notes on some information about the events, which will be further explained as we progress with our lesson. The next part is the Nihongo part, wherein we are going to use the vocabulary word for this session. That's kyokai. And to review the other verbs related to the other activities, you have here taberu, miru, asobu, suru, kairu. Followed by students' reflection about the session, and the teacher will give an assignment to conclude the session. So here, the assignment is the teacher would ask the students to interview their parents, grandparents, or guardians on how they celebrated Christmas and New Year. Take note, during their generation. They're going to write their answers in their Nihongo notes. That will be used in the next session. And let's have session 2 this time. Topic 21, session 2 desu. For session 2, we are going to promote learning and innovation skills. And our students, for the Nihongo part, they're going to learn how to say what they did in the past. And take note of the expressions used for this session. We have here, Christmas cardを書く、赤い服着る、Christmas carol をする、写真を撮る、トランペットを鳴らす、プレゼントをあげる、or プレゼントをもらう。And be ready with these materials. We have the first one. This is to be prepared by the teacher. So you can print or write this one in advance, whichever you prefer. And the second one is the teacher's reference in forming past tense. And this one shows the outline for the session. Culture. Students discuss how the past generation celebrated Christmas and New Year based on the assignment or shukudai from session 1. Nihongo. Students discover the rules on how to form the past tense of verbs. And reflection. So this time, let's see the lesson plan. After asking the students on what they think is the most important annual event for Nihonjin and Philippine Jin, the teacher would tell the objective of the session. And dividing the class into groups of 4 to 5 members each, like this. Giving them 5 minutes to briefly share their homework about the interview. Take note, they're going to choose a secretary per group, the one in red as shown on the screen. The secretary in each group is expected to take down notes in tabulated format using Japanese. A tip, To maximize time, you may prepare in advance small sheets of paper with a table on it for the secretary to fill it up. Here are all the possible answers for this activity. After the group's presentation, the teacher would connect the lesson to the new one by telling them that the past form of the verb should be used because all actions in this case are done in the past. So this is now for the Nihongo part. The teacher brings out the flashcard of the verbs in present and past tense like what is shown on the screen, but taking note that the second column must be in a random, without mentioning that these are already in the past tense. Here, ask the students if they know the meaning of the new form of the verbs, and we would confirm that it is already in the past tense. And we are going to ask them what is common in the past tense of the verbs shown. That would be this, confirming that all the verbs end in ta. Next, we are going to arrange already the second column according to what is shown on the screen, besides their pair, which is in the present form. And we are going to inform the class that there are rules on how to form the past tense of the verb, and they would have to discover it. We are going to allow students here to discuss and compare answers and even categorize the verbs into groups with their seatmates for around 3 to 5 minutes. And the teacher would show this table for the rules of group 1, 2, and 3. And we are going to confirm our students' answer. A tip, for group 1 verbs ending with u, a conjugation chart may be shown to the class for the ta form of group 1 verbs like this one. So for the link for this conjugation chart, you have it below the chart for students to clearly see that these verbs can be changed into this form, like this one. And you can do that as well for group 2 and group 3. And here, the teacher would review other verbs in the past lessons and will dictate the verbs randomly and ask the students to group the verb first and make the past form, like this one. And based on our shukudai, from earlier, if it's lechon no taberu, we are going to change now the present form of the verb to past tense. So this one is now lechon o tabeta. Same follows for the rest of the activities, like akai fuku o kita, and so on and so forth. Points to be realized. It's very important for us teachers to make our students realize that after that activity, that though time may change or may pass by, the activities or most of the activities that we have are still being spent with our family or for friends bonding. Our reflection about the lesson concludes the session. Session ni owarimashita. Minasan, genki desu ka? I hope you are still fired up for the next session. じゃあ皆さん、次は Topic 21 Session 3です。Let's start with an overview of Session 3. Our objective for this session is to promote learning and innovation skills and for our students to read a photo diary in simple Japanese. And here are the vocabularies for this session. Osechi ryori, nengajo, jinja, and otoshidama. And we need to prepare the following materials. We have flashcards, which was used in the previous session, session 2, photo panels of photo diary of a Nihongo Jin about spending New Year in Nihon, like this one. The outline of session 3. For the Nihongo part, students review the rules of forming past tense of verbs through a skit. Culture, students discuss how Japanese and Filipinos celebrate Christmas and New Year. And we also have the reflection. And an assignment is given at the end of the session. The start of this session deals with the Nihongo part. Here, the teacher will review by showing flashcards of verbs on their present form and ask the students to say it in its past tense. After such, the class will be divided into pairs and instruct them to make a short skit about yesterday's lesson. Here, teachers are going to check or give corrections if necessary based on the student's skit. And next is the presentation of skit by volunteers, since our time is limited to 25 minutes for the whole activity. A tip, if you want to check each presentation, if you're eager to check each of the skits by group, then you may adjust the number of members per group depending on the class size. Or you may opt to have another way of reviewing with the same set of objectives. On this part of the session, the teacher shows a shashiniki, or a photo diary of a Nihonjin, and let the students read it aloud and confirm by asking what he did. Like this one. You're going to have the same pattern for the other entries in the diary. Here, we are going to explain that these are common activities during New Year of a Nihonjin, and we're going to compare the activities to the activities during Christmas holidays in the Philippines. And same procedure applies for the rest of the entries of the diary. At this point, we are going to flash the pictures and we're going to show the similarities and differences between Nihonjin and Philippine Jin's activities during the holidays. An important point to be realized for our students on this session. It's important for us to make our students realize that though the generation changes, there are some family activities that does not change, such as to value the togetherness in the family. And maybe there might be differences between the two countries, but that is because of the influence on religion and tradition. Followed by the writing of reflection for what they have learned for the lesson. And an assignment that concludes the session. Here, the assignment is, we are going to instruct our students to make their own photo diary documenting on what they did during the previous Christmas and New Year holidays. And that's it for Session Sang. Let's move on to Session Yong. Topic 21 Session Yong desu. For the objective of the session, we are going to promote effective communication skills and develop social and cross-cultural skills. And here, students will be able to identify some parts of a nengajo. And here are the expressions for this session. Akimashite omedetou gozaimasu. And kotoshi mo yoroshiku. And be ready with these materials. Advertisement and flyers of sample nengajo, that's from the realia, and a poster-size nengajo for class discussion. So this is the overview for session 4. For the Nihongo, students are going to use past tense form and learn about the greetings during the new year. For the culture, students discuss the culture of writing and exchanging nengajo. And reflection, reflect about what they have learned, and assignment will be given at the end of the session. After informing the class of the session's objective, we would ask our students if they are finished with their shashiniki, that's their shukudai, in the previous session. If not, you may give them time to finish their assignment for around 5 to 10 minutes or more depending on the situation. For this part, teachers, we are going to check the past tense form of the verbs if it's correctly followed. Then, let the students share their answers. And a presentation by group will be done in Nihongo. After that, we are going to make an on-the-spot survey for those who are still making their Christmas cards by raising their hands. For those who are still writing, we are going to ask the following guide questions. And for those who are not writing anymore, we're going to ask this question. On this part, you may briefly discuss about e-Christmas cards. Now, Christmas cards are not really practiced anymore in as much as before, especially now during this pandemic. For me, actually, there's nothing wrong with e-Christmas cards, right? It's adorable, and the fact that it would not cost you any penny is good. It's also important that we instill in the minds of our students the sincerity of the act matters. So adding up a brief yet customized message won't hurt. It's more appreciated, like this one. Then we'll have the showing of advertisement or flyers of nengajo, or the Japanese style postcard for New Year. We can also share trivias about Nengajo. Everything is written in our lesson plan if time allows. We are going to ask our students to identify what information they can find in Nengajo. Let's focus on this too. We can summarize it as follows. We have the designs, the message, address, front and back side, and lottery. For the Nengajo, in designs, it varies. It depends on the sender's preference. For the message, it has here this one. Akemashite omedetou gozaimasu. We also have here this one. Kotoshi mo yoroshiku onegai shimasu. So this is already the vocabulary for this session. Akimashite omedetou gozaimasu means, alright, that would be Happy New Year. Kotoshi mo yoroshiku onegai shimasu. Yoroshiku onegai shimasu has been used in the previous sessions of our entry lessons. So here we've added kotoshi mo. This is written in kanji, but we can write it in hiragana. So for kotoshi mo, it means this year too. Yoroshiku onegai shimasu. An important information in Nengajo is of course the address of the sender and the address of the receiver. And we also have front and back side. So for the front side, which is this one, it includes, yes, it's the side for the addresses. In the back part or in the back side, it includes the messages. In Nengajo, there are only short messages that expresses gratitude to maintain good relationship. And an exciting part of Nengajo is the lottery. There's a lottery number in front, which is this one. I believe this one. With corresponding prizes but not in monetary form. And an important note for Nengajo is it should not be delivered before January 1. And here, emphasizing on the prize, which is for the lottery, electronic appliances or something useful in households. It will be followed by a reflection, and an assignment will be given to conclude the session. Here, the assignment to be given to the students is for them to think of a particular design of their Nengajo or Christmas card, which will be used for the next session, 5 and 6. Well, that's it for session 4. Let's see session 5. Topic 21, session 5 desu. This is the overview. We are going to promote innovative and creativity skills. And here are the Nihongo to be learned for this session. We have vocabularies and expressions and even writing for the cards later on. And the materials to be used are flashcards of Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. The outline for session 5. Culture. Students will write a simple message for Christmas card or Nengajo in Japanese. Reflection. Students reflect and write about what they have learned for this session. So after stating the objectives, the teacher or we are going to show flashcards of Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. We are going to ask our students to include these expressions in their Christmas cards that will be written in katakana in preparation for the next session. You may allow them to practice writing in their Nihongo notes and give them time to make their Christmas cards. If the allotted time is not enough, they may continue at home if necessary. Take note that in Japan, it is strange to greet Akemashite omedetou gozaimasu before January 1 or to receive a Nengajo before that date. In this part of the lesson, we will roam around or the teacher will roam around while looking at the students working on their Christmas cards. Now, you may use vocabulary words like misite while having gestures or pointing the card for the students to understand the meaning of that vocabulary. And also use these adjectives like steki, kirei, kakkoi, design ga ii, iro ga ii to describe the cards created by our students. So it's very nice to use these adjectives because it will lighten up their mood at the same time give them more motivation to improve their cards. And a reflection concludes session 5. And finally, we are into our last session, that is session roku. Topic 21, session roku desu. And overview. For this session, we're going to promote learning and innovation skills and develop life and career skills. Here are the Nihongo to be learned in this session. The materials to be used are as follows: a Christmas card, the one that they did for session go, an audio file of the Japanese version of Jingle Bells, and it's to be prepared by the teacher. We have here the copy of the lyrics of the Japanese version of Jingle Bells in Romaji, to be prepared by the teacher, and the Nihongo review quiz. For the outline of session roku, culture, we have here students are going to learn the Japanese version of Jingle Bells, and they're going to exchange cards while singing Jingle Bells. For the Nihongo part, students are going to answer the Nihongo review quiz, and followed by the reflection. The beginning part is about playing the song The Jingle Bells in Japanese with the following lyrics. Now, based on my experience, my students are really excited on this part, like learning a Japanese song or learning an English song with its Japanese version. So depending on your students, you may give them the lyrics or a copy of the lyrics, or you may give them a link in advance for them to familiarize the song. And once you play it on the first part of the session, somehow they're already familiar with it and it's easier for them to sing along. So actually, there's no need for them to memorize the song. You may emphasize on that part as long as they enjoy singing the song for this activity. So they could sing together and repeat if it's necessary. And then, afterwards, if they are now comfortable singing the Jingle Bells, even with or without the lyrics, you may proceed with this activity. For the instruction of the activity, you're going to play the song Jingle Bells while the students are singing along, and they are going to pass around the card, the one that they did for session 5. And once the music stops, they are going to exchange the cards, right? Because they are passing the cards around. So here they can practice the following expressions. Like once they receive the card, they will say arigato. Or they can also say oreshi to express happiness. They can also use the other adjectives to describe the card, like staki, kakoy, and the other adjectives that they've learned for this session. And the next part, which is the Nihongo part, is the Nihongo review quiz. Give them enough time to answer Topic 21 Annual Events Nihongo Review Quiz. And the last part of this session is the vocabulary map. For the vocabulary map, students are going to write here the words that they have learned for the session or for the topic, and that's for vocabulary building. Give them enough time, around 5 minutes, because for the whole activity, that's for 10 minutes. And then, afterwards, they're going to share that to a pair and to a group, depending on the time. And the last part, we are also going to ask the students to include a short reflection on their Nihongo notes if they're able to achieve their goals in their chosen field for the Gambaro Risto. Minasan, that concludes our session 6. So that means that ends our topic 21, session 1 to session 6 about annual events. Arigatou gozaimashita.